There is something new every day. The future feels so unpredictable. Where could we be in 15 years? Our playgrounds may change. Learning may not need classrooms. Robots might help us meet time for more important things. Will virtual life be our new social life? Coming? Don't worry about what the future will look like. Just prepare for it. Fearless plans from Aegis Federal Life Insurance help you and your family prepare for the future.
Welcome to a very special edition of Backstage with Boria with a very dear friend of mine. And you know what? I've done a number of these backstage specials on the World Cup, but today I'm going to do something very different. We'll do the World Cup, but I'm going to celebrate Gautam Gambhir and what happened in 2011, because a World Cup and news interviews I've done to the death. And over the last 10 odd days, you've seen many. But today, I need to quiz Gautam on what happened in 2007, the 75 each one of us remember, the 2011 innings of 97, perhaps sort of set it up for India to win the last World Cup on home soil. Gautam, I know you don't like to talk about your own things. I know all of that. But how do you look back at the 97, a World Cup coming? If I have to ask Gautam Gambhir, 97, high pressure game, all of India, how do you look back at that innings?
Mission accomplished. I thought that because that's the job what was given to us, to be honest, because we were selected to win the World Cup, and that is what the selectors and the entire country and everyone had believed in us. And I keep saying that, I've said it in the past as well, that we haven't done anything what we weren't supposed to do it, because when you get picked for the World Cup, your first job is to win the World Cup. And if you can't think of winning the World Cup, then you should not be part of the World Cup squad. So if you have got picked, the first and foremost thing is to have that belief that till the time you're there, India is winning the World Cup.
But, while I totally get it that, team has been picked to win the World Cup, but, a packed crowd, billion people watching, 2 down, Tendulkar Sehwag out, under pressure. What was your mindset like? I mean, I've also watched your career very closely. You're younger to me. But just explain to my viewers a little bit more the mindset when you played that innings in a huge final.
Look, didn't bother me one bit, to be honest, and I'm not going to probably sound arrogant here, but it didn't bother me one bit that what was happening at the other end, because all I was thinking about winning the contest and that particular contest. And if I had to be in that mindset, I had to win each and every contest. So it really didn't matter to me what was happening, where the game was going, because my only purpose was when I was facing the bowler, I had to win that particular contest and look to score runs each and every delivery. As simple as it can get, because when in these situations, I think you got to take the occasion out of the contest, because if the occasion gets probably better of you, obviously you'll forget thinking about the contest, you'll start thinking about the occasion. And for me, I think to break it down to probably the most important thing was probably facing that one particular delivery at each point of time and trying to win that particular delivery and try to score maximum runs of that particular delivery. Yes, people will talk about it. People have asked me this question, that what exactly was I thinking when we lost Sachin and Sehwag. And I honestly want to tell you this, that I was not thinking anything. And in fact, I did not think anything even when Virat got out, because my job was to probably, when I was facing the next ball, when I was on strike, I had to win that particular ball and try and score the maximum of that ball. Until the time I was there, I had that belief that we're going to win the World Cup.
Gautam, do you regret the fact that you didn't score 3 more runs? Do you at all think about it?
Absolutely not, because I think India is a nation which is obsessed with stats, and I have never been obsessed with stats. Because if one night before someone would have told me that I'm going to score 97 and India will go on to win the World Cup after I don't know how many years, I think I would have taken it. And I still believe, I think for me, the real World Cup was 2011 because I was grown up watching, thinking, dreaming of winning the 50 over World Cup because there was no T20 cricket when I was growing up. When I picked up the bat, it was only 50 over World Cup. And my only dream was to probably play the World Cup. And in fact, that was the only 50 over World Cup I played. So imagine how lucky would I be that part of one World Cup team and we ended up winning that World Cup. So I can't complain about anything because 97 is always better than 96 and probably much better than a zero.
Fantastic. And I don't want any controversy here, and I want to preface that. But do you feel we've not given that innings the due that it deserves? I mean, we have talked about it, and every time when I see, for example, your birthday, and people refer to that 97, and there's a sort of deluge on social media, oh, we've not celebrated it enough. Have you ever thought about it like that at all?
No, absolutely not. And I'll answer this question probably in two phases. The first one was that I haven't ever thought about it because the thing is, I know that when I played that inning or when I was actually batting in the middle, my thinking was not about getting celebrated probably in future. My thinking was that if I can make 100 crore people happy, if I can make my country proud, that is all. I've picked up my bat. Every time I've picked up my bat and I've gone on to the field to represent my country, it was never about taking credit or talking about that what people will talk about my innings and what people will talk about my contribution and stuff. It was all about making people happy and my nation proud, and that has always remained till now. And second thing, when you talk about not giving credit, forget about me. I think we haven't given enough credit to Yuvraj Singh as well. We haven't given enough. Tell me how many people talk about Zaheer Khan's first spell in the World Cup final, which had set the tone for us. 5 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 4 or 1 for 1. Tell me how many people remember that. So it is not about players. It is the media. It is the social media. It is the narrative that has been created. It is that individual obsessed nature that you're obsessed with individuals so much that you forget about team and what the team members have done. No individual can ever go on to win the World Cup. If that was the case, India would have won every World Cup till now because we worshipped our heroes or we worshipped our own players individually so much. We start talking about them, we start treating them beyond a game of cricket. So for me, I think let's not even talk about my 97. I think there are far more bigger contributions throughout that competition. Yuvraj Singh in 2007. Tell me how many people talk about Yuvraj Singh. Yuvraj Singh's contribution in 2011. Tell me Zaheer Khan, the way he's performed throughout the competition. Suresh Raina's inning against Australia. Munaf Patel's spell against Australia. There were so many contributors. Yes, I did contribute and I played a huge innings in the World Cup final. Yes, I had my contribution. But look at Sachin Tendulkar. Sachin Tendulkar is the highest run getter. 3 or 4 hundreds in that 2011 World Cup. How many people talk about Sachin Tendulkar? Yes, we keep talking about 1-6 which MS played, but that was never the case. It is the media that has created that. And when you keep talking to players, when you keep asking players that have they been given so much of credit, they will always say no, because media, social media, the amount of money that is spent on so many other platforms, that will always happen. Yes, I can also spend that and I have all the right to spend that, but I don't do that because I want to live in a real world. I have always picked up a bat to make my nation proud. And if I've done that even once in my career, that's enough for me. I think that's what I've achieved everything possible in my career.
How did you prepare for that, Gautam? I mean, a World Cup final on home soil. We've not won a World Cup for 28 years. Perhaps our best opportunity. 2011 was such a sad story. We got knocked out. 2011 was massive. How did Gautam Gambhir prepare for a final like this? What are the lessons?
See, this question was asked to me after 2007 T20 World Cup as well. That was my first kind of any World Cup. Though obviously I don't rate T20 World Cup as big as probably 2011. I've given you that answer. Why? Because I was grown up watching 50 overs. See, I have never ever prepared for any game differently. I have never put any amount of any pressure on myself thinking about that this is a make or break game. The only time I literally have put pressure on myself was against New Zealand in 2007 T20 World Cup, because my first kind of any World Cup, I missed every World Cup possible. I missed the under 14 World Cup and I was the highest run getter. I missed the under 19 World Cup and I was the highest run getter in India. I I still believe that I should have been part of the 2007 50 over World Cup, which absolutely I deserved. I missed out on that as well. So my first kind of World Cup in 2017 20, I got a duck. First game got washed out. My first debut game against Pakistan got a duck. Second game against New Zealand. Probably that was the only time in my career I thought that it's make or break. And I actually promised myself that I remember we were staying in Sand Sun in Johannesburg. And when I was leaving my room before for the game, I promised myself that whatever happens today, probably this could be the last game I could play, and my World Cup dream could be over, because I know that probably if I wouldn't have scored runs, there were other players who were waiting in the wings. They might get an opportunity, but I promised that whatever I'm going to do to them, I'm going to do it on my own terms. And I remember getting a 50 of 19 or 20 balls, and then from there on, I think things changed. So that's the only time I thought it was make or break. Otherwise, I have never ever thought that, because as I mentioned, occasions have never mattered to me. Whenever I've picked up a bat, whether it's for my club, whether it's for my state, whether it's for my franchise, whether it's for my nation, I've always been committed and obviously wanted to score runs and probably win a game of cricket for my team, so that when I come back in the dressing room, it has to be a happier dressing room. And more importantly, when I come back home or when I go back in my room, I'm a very content man.
So when what you are saying, so when you played the final against Pakistan in 2007 and you scored that 75, something that I also want to talk about a little bit. I mean, we build these matches. Mohali semi-final Pakistan, final in South Africa against Pakistan. So is it that these innings don't give you any extra satisfaction? Is there no extra pressure? Because these matches are sort of remembered for ages. I mean, I'm talking to you about 2011 sitting in 2023, 12 years, it's still a fresh memory. Gautam Gambhir, 97, that Mohali victory, 2007, 75, playing against Pakistan. So you mean to say a final, India has not won inaugural T20 or even 2011 semi-final. These occasions did not put extra pressure on you?
Absolutely not. And I've actually slept better, because I thought that I've done everything possible one day before the game. I've read the entire book, so I'm ready for it. And whatever happens tomorrow will happen tomorrow, because I can't control what I can't control. All I can control is watch the ball with absolute clear head and try and win that particular contest. So when you go to those, see, for me, I think the most important thing is, and I'll tell you, where I feel that I've probably been able to score runs, if I have to probably cut it down to that one thing, is the word called courage. Because what happens is that when it comes to those crunch games, when it comes to those knockout games, when it comes to those so-called big games, when you know that you cannot make a mistake, you make a mistake, you might never get that opportunity again. Do you still have the courage to be positive? Do you still have the courage to tell yourself that, yes, I'm going to back to hit the ball? If you have that courage that you're backing yourself to hit each and every ball to score runs, I think you'll be fine. But the moment you start thinking this way, that if I make a mistake, what's going to happen? If I get out, what's going to happen? You anyways lost that contest. So every time, whether it was probably facing Lasith Malinga or for that matter, Sohail Tanveer or whoever I was facing in the finals, every time, whether it was the first ball or before I got out, my intention was be courageous, look to score runs. And I've always believed when it comes to big games, big tournaments, only the courageous teams will end up winning the games. And people with courage will end up scoring runs. And probably that is one thing, if I have to define that, what probably stood out for me was that I always had that courage to probably tell myself that whatever happens, I'm looking to score runs.
I've seen this courage that you talk about even in your IPL stint as captain, whether it's for KKR, to be able to win an IPL trophy for KKR when Sourav Ganguly was replaced, to come at the Eden Gardens and take the mantle. The courage that you're talking about, I've seen that. I mean, India did not win anything after 2013. We've come close multiple times, 17, 19, 22. What is it about Gautam Gambhir? I mean, to be able to score in these crunch matches, is it this courage? The fact that, you have that, what you call heart, to be able to go out there, big matches, so what, I'll take people bull by the horn. Does that define these innings? And is that the one thing that stands out?
Yes, if I have to, because I haven't got anything with ease. It's just the experiences which you have throughout your profession probably makes you the kind of character you are. I know a lot of other people might not have got it easy as well, but I haven't got it the easy way as well. I've missed out on a lot of competitions where I thought that I should have been part of it. But then I thought that the only way probably I kept going, because I thought the 2007 50 over World Cup was probably the lowest moment of my career. And I thought that my dream of playing the World Cup would be over. And has already been over. But then the only thing I promised myself is that from then on, whatever I do, and in fact, for that matter, very early on in my life, I think that's how I am. Sometimes you can talk about that. I always had that courage to probably take on take on and probably say the right things and look into people's eye and talk about it. And that is something which I'm really proud of myself. Probably a lot of things people might not be proud of what I've done and what I've said, and a lot of things I might have made mistakes as well. Everyone makes mistakes, but one thing I can be really proud of myself is that I always had the courage, whether it was in my profession, on the field or off the field, to probably say the right things and do the right things. And that has helped me till now. Hopefully it's going to carry on in future as well.
Do you remember anything of the celebrations, Gautam? Something that you did, something that you've not shared before that we don't know? Because you're a very private man. I mean, I've interviewed you many times and I can claim that I know you well, but there is a side of Gautam Gambhir which is still very private. Anything that you remember after that 2011 win?
See, I'll tell you this, and yes, a lot of people have asked me, how did I manage to celebrate? In fact, people need to realize that I was in the middle till 92 overs of that game. We fielded first and we fielded for 50 overs. I must have batted till the 41st or the 42nd over, whatever, 90 overs in that heat and that pressure. So I literally was in the middle throughout the game and I was absolutely exhausted. And I remember we have a get together. Obviously, everyone was there. I went there for literally 2 minutes. I came back, took a shower, and I was gone. I was completely, I collapsed. I had no energy because it was so draining. And I had no, people might say that it is, how can you not celebrate? But sometimes you got to realize that imagine what I must have gone through over a period of those 90 or 92 overs. And especially I had no time in the middle as well. By the time I was actually putting on my pads, Sehwag got out. The only saving grace was because he took a referral, I had time to probably pad up completely. And then by the time I realized I was in the middle. So yes, I did not manage to celebrate a lot. But then when I came back home, obviously did celebrate with my family because that is something which was very, very special for them. And more importantly, I think it is not about my celebration. When the entire country celebrates, I think that is what you live your life for. When the country was celebrating, I think what bigger celebration can an individual have when the entire nation is celebrating?
Beautiful answer. Beautiful answer. You mentioned the word pressure, Gautam. I mean, we in the media build pressure. Huge match, 2011, make or break. If we don't win, what happens? Obviously, we put pressure on not only in 2011 or 2007, in New Zealand when you scored that 137, obviously in IPL. How did Gautam Gambhir deal with pressure? Because that's something that any modern day sports person will learn from you. How did you handle these big games? The 2011 final, the 2011 semi-final. How did you handle them?
I don't think so. A lot of people have experienced what I've experienced, which is probably starting 2014 IPL with 3 ducks. It can't get worse than that for anyone. So probably that is extreme pressure. Pressure is not when I was playing Pakistan in 2007 because I had runs under my belt. Pressure was not when I was playing Sri Lanka in 2011. I still had runs behind my back. But then imagine starting 2014 IPL, that also in Dubai, where you start the first 3 games with a duck, and then you scored 1 in the 4th game. And I remember we were staying at Ritz-Carlton, and obviously when I scored my 3rd duck, and we were just probably roaming around, and a lot of people were talking about my form and stuff. And I remember telling them that you should not even talk about my form because I don't even know what kind of a form I am in, because I've literally faced 5 or 6 deliveries in 3 games. The form is when you struggle for 20 or 30 balls and you're not able to hit the ball in the middle. And the only time I've probably, as a captain in KKR, and I have no shame, the only time I actually probably in my 7 years of KKR captaincy where I felt ashamed of myself as a leader was when I actually in the 4th game promoted Manish Pandey to open the batting, and I batted at number 3 because he was scoring runs at number 3 and I wasn't. I did not even score a run, and he got a duck and I got 1. And I remember going back to Trevor Bayliss and telling him that I think it's time for me to drop myself. And he said that, why? I said, because I think this is the first time as a leader I'm ashamed of myself that I was trying to probably protect myself. A leader does not protect himself. I think a leader is someone who should be the first one taking the bullet, not probably sending someone else to take a bullet. And then he said, give yourself 1 more game. And I remember I was in absolute extreme pressure. We were playing against Rajasthan Royals, 5th game, and me and Bisla opening the batting, and Bisla came to me and told me that, can I face the first ball? I said, irrespective of what happens, I think I'm going to face the first ball. I'm absolutely ashamed of myself, what I did in the previous game. today is the day where I'm going to face the first ball, whatever happens. And that was the only time where I was in extreme pressure, and I promised myself that I'm going to still look to hit the ball. First ball, it was Kane Richardson I smashed it for 4. So that is what is called mental strength. I did not have that one game before that, but yes, because I was so ashamed of myself, I could not sleep the whole night for whatever I did as a leader. But the next day, I promised myself before the next game that irrespective, I'm going to still look to hit the first ball if it's in my area, and I'm going to back myself. So what? If I don't score runs, the worst thing that can happen is I will drop myself as a leader, and that I should be absolutely capable of doing it.
Well, then what you just said, I mean, don't you think your leadership philosophy, what you just said, 2011 score, 2007, that, my World Cup dream could be over, this time one against Kane Richardson, you've been harsh on yourself. Don't you feel that maybe my leadership philosophy was a bit harsh? I mean, when are you being a little unfair to yourself at times?
I was always, and I had no shame in saying that. I was always very hard on myself. And that's the way it is. And those are my experiences. No one wants to be hard on himself. It's the worst feeling to be hard on himself. I remember my wife telling me, my mom telling me that even now, as a mentor, and you can ask people, I think, who are close to me, if you win a game, I think the only thing I'm thinking about how to win the next one. And if you win the next one, the only thing I'm thinking is how to win the next one. So there is no satisfaction. And probably even after winning the 2007 World Cup, and I'm telling you honestly, T20 World Cup, the only thing that was there in my mind when I came back to my room was how can we win the 50-over World Cup? After winning the 50-over World Cup, I was so exhausted that I slept. The next morning when I woke up, I said that how can we defend this title in 2015? So that's how I've always been. And that is not right. I don't want any young kid to be like that, because you're never satisfied. You want to be satisfied. You want to enjoy those moments, but this is how I'm made. I can't do. Sometimes you got to live with how you are, and you can't change what you are. But that has helped me as well. That has always kept me on toes. That has always kept me on the edge, and I love being on the edge.
Gautam, I mean, in your case, when I see these innings, and before this interview also on social media platforms, I was actually watching the 97. I was watching the 75. And what stands out for me is even your body language. Your body language is very interesting to me. I mean, it's as if, come on, and that whole thing that we talk about, New India, and India that sort of speaks out, what our Prime Minister talks about, what this modern world talks about, and you sort of embody that in your body. Was that conscious? That, oh, you know what, I don't care. I'll give it back, whatever the opposition. I will not sort of be concerned or fearful or insecure. Was that conscious ever?
But I was insecure. I'm not going to say that I wasn't insecure. I've said it openly. When I was ICC #1 Test Player of the Year, I said it openly that I still feel insecure about my place, and it was always there throughout my career, because I always thought that I had to keep scoring runs to be there, and probably it just got inside my system, deep inside my system, which I wasn't able to take out. But yes, more importantly, I think why I had a strong body language when I was batting in the middle was because I had to have a strong body language to keep telling myself to probably be aggressive. Sometimes batting is all about mindset. Batting is nothing. When people talk about, technical stuff, you need to have that technical stuff. You need to have that technical capability. But what is technique? When a young kid comes to me and talks about technique, I say that if you want to hit the ball and you're able to hit the ball where you want to hit the ball, I think everything else is fine. You got to, everyone have a same front foot defense. Everyone plays the back foot punch exactly the same way. Everyone has the same cut shot, pull shot. They might just look different. It's the shot is exactly the same. But the most important thing is, do I have the courage and do I have a strong body language to probably still look to hit the ball every time I walk? Because what happens is, when you're being defensive, everything starts shortening, and your back leg becomes small, your footwork becomes much smaller, and you don't want to be in that. You don't want to be in that survival mode. The moment you're in that survival mode, automatically the bowler is on top of you, irrespective whether you're playing the last ball of the day or the first ball of the day. If it's a half volley, it's a half volley. And this theory of giving that first hour to the bowler and then probably cash in on the next 5 hours, I've never believed in it, and I never will. There is no guarantee that first you will survive for that first 1 hour, and there is no guarantee that you will probably be able to score runs even if you survive after that first 1 hour, that you will survive for the next 5 hours. For me, I think whether it's the first ball or the last ball, I think your mindset still relates to be the same, that you're looking to hit the ball, because the half volley, if you can smash it for 4, you might not get it probably the next 1 or 2 hours. So that has always been the case, and that is why it was very important for me to have a very, very strong body language from ball 1.
Last question. I mean, what you just said related to that. So when I look back at the 2003 World Cup, a lot of people tell me, and even I have said this, and everybody says, oh, India was overcharged. Saurav Ganguly made a wrong call, maybe at the toss. Oh, India was overcharged. That first over, maybe too much of adrenaline, and we sort of gave it away. Yeah, you're talking about aggressive body language, strong body language. What is the balance? I mean, you're going into a high pressure competition, in your case, 2011, 2007. How does a player get the right balance? Because overcharged in 03, getting it right in 2011, finals once, losing, winning a final 8 years down the line. In your case, it worked. But how does a young player get it right?
First of all, I don't think so. In 2007, you're talking about, sorry, it's 2003 final or 2007?
Yes, 2003 against Australia, people say India was overcharged, as a result of which that first Zahir Khan over, 15 runs to Australia. Maybe that's where we lost the match. I mean, there's so much theory going around, right? So
look, sometimes you got to give it to the opposition as well. What happens is that most of the time when India end up losing the game, we start criticizing India for everything. And that's not fair. Sometimes the opposition can play better than you as well. And it is absolutely right to be overcharged. I'm not going to say that we weren't overcharged in 2011. We were. And Zahir Khan could have gone for 15 in the first over again. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't have worked. The thing is, humans are playing the game. We all are humans. We've got our own emotions. We know that 100 crore people were expecting us to win a game of cricket. And that would have happened in 2003 as well. So there was nothing that Saurav did something different what MS did not. I thought Saurav must have done exactly the same what MS did. But it was just that probably Saurav wanted to win, MS wanted to win. That 2003, everyone wanted to win. 2011, everyone wanted to win. And every time I'm sure that these guys go on the park, they want to win a game of cricket, and especially the World Cup final. So I think this charge of being probably over eager, I don't see, I still believe that in 2007, 11, we were exactly the same. It was just that we started off really well and we managed to. But yeah, when you talk about the balance, I think balance is something where you got to probably control your emotions. I think emotions is something, and I've answered that question in that first go, that start breaking it down to the smallest of things. If you've got a ball in your hand, probably try and bowl the best delivery possible. And if you've got a bat in your hand, try and win that contest, that one particular contest, because that is the only thing you can control. You cannot control any other thing. You cannot control the emotions. You cannot control the results. You cannot control what's going to happen after 100 overs. You can't control what's going to happen the next delivery. You can't control what's going to happen in the next over. You cannot control anything except that one particular moment. And that is exactly what is called mental toughness. You've got thrashed for a 6. If you can forget about that and you can come back and bowl your best delivery, that is mental toughness. If you've got beaten 5 times in the over and if you can hit the 6th ball for 4, that is mental toughness. Keep breaking it down. And if you're in the field, try and concentrate on each and every delivery and try and probably think that every ball is going to come to you and you're going to put your heart and soul in fielding or catching that ball. So when you can do that, and if everyone can do that, I think the results will eventually come your way.
Fascinating. I mean, I'm glad I wanted to do a deep dive and understand you better, celebrate that innings and perhaps the 2 innings in that final. But you've done much more. In the last 27 odd minutes, it was an interesting kind of class, a class on mental strength and courage, how to play sport and elite high performance sport at the highest level. Gautam Gambhir, much better. I mean, I'm glad, as I said, I did not want to quiz you on a news interview. We've done to death. You are on live TV doing that day in, day out. It was something different. And I must say, has left me sort of immensely pleased that I was able to do that. I think our viewers would love the same. Appreciate your time. Always did. And look forward to catching up with you soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks.